Last week, I shared with you my couples photo session shot list and all the must-have shots that I captured during these kinds of sessions. Now this week, I'm going to share with you how I structure these sessions in order to make it a lot more enjoyable for my couple, a lot less intimidating, and also easier for myself. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Emilie Smith and I'm here to help you grow your photography business and grow your photography skills. So before the little intro, I talked about creating a structure for your couple's photo session. Now, in the next couple minutes, I'm going to share with you my 10 things that I do to create structure and to create an amazing experience during these sessions. Okay, the very first thing I make sure to do is to arrive at least 20 to 30 minutes before my couple is scheduled to arrive. This time allows me to really get in the right mindset and get in the zone for the photo shoot. I also take this time to walk around the location and have a plan in my mind about where I'm going to start the session and where I'm going to end it. That way when my couple arrives, I can walk them through this plan, and that puts them at ease, shows them that I know what I'm doing, and also kind of sets expectations about where they can expect to take their photos. The second part of my structure is the first 15 or 20 minutes of the photo session. So as soon as they've arrived, we've talked a little bit. This might be the first time we meet, so we take a little bit of time to chat, and then we start actually taking the photos. So those first 15 minutes is when I'm going to make sure to get them really comfortable in front of the camera. I know that this is probably their very first professional photo session, and I know that they are probably quite nervous or a little anxious about the session and having their photo taken. So it's my job or your job as the photographer to get them comfortable so you can deliver photos where they look natural and where they're happy with the results. So you can refer back to my video from last week where I walk you through the 2 poses that I use to start off the session and get them comfortable. But those are the classic portraits and the walking shots. Those are really easy to get into, and so it sets the tone for the rest of the photo shoot where I can get them into more advanced posing. The third part of my structure is basically just me talking a lot and explaining what I'm doing. This may all seem very basic to you as a photographer. It's obvious to you what you're doing, but for them, this is all new, and I don't want them to start doubting what I'm doing or even just questioning what I'm doing, and then they lose trust or faith in me. So an example of that is me telling them specifically, you know what, it may seem like I'm taking the same photo over and over, but trust me, I'm changing my lenses, I'm changing the background, I am moving around, so the photo will look completely different on my end. Now, what does this do? This confirms to them that I know what I'm doing again, and that way later on in the shoot, if I seem to be taking the same photo over and over again, they won't wonder because I've already told them that it looks different. So they're not like in their heads, why is she taking this photo again? They know why. And then also if I'm changing my lenses, if I'm changing my batteries or my memory cards, I walk them through it. I don't just let them stand there in silence because that's when they start questioning themselves. They start wondering if they should be doing anything. So I make sure to say, okay, take a few minutes for yourselves, just chat amongst each other. I'm going to change my lens, or I'm going to change my memory card, because I don't want any doubt setting in, so I'm always walking them through what I'm doing, telling them what I'm doing, and this just makes them at ease and kind of makes sure that no one is questioning anybody. So the fourth part of my structure are the poses that I start with. I did already mention this in the first 15 minutes section, but I make sure to start with poses that aren't too intimidating so they don't get freaked out at the start and think that the session is super complicated. Okay, the fifth part of my system and structure is to make sure that I never make my couple feel bad. Now this might sound a little silly, but what I mean by this is that I never want my couple to think that they've done something wrong. So if I move them into a pose and I instantly realize that that pose does not work for them or it's not flattering, I'm not going to tell them, oh, you know what guys, this doesn't work, let's move into something else. I'm just going to shoot through it and then casually move into another pose that looks good on them. Because if I tell them this is not working, they might instantly think that it's their fault, and that could break all self-confidence that I've just worked so hard to build. Okay, the 6th point in my structure is when I take the engagement ring photos. Now, I know that taking photos for 2 hours can be exhausting, so I make sure to structure my shoot in a way that I can take the engagement ring photos about midway through the shoot. So I tell my couple to take a little breather, take a little break. That way I can take the rings and take about 10 to 15 minutes to do photos of just the rings. This gives me the time to just breathe, take time to reset, especially also if you have a shot list that maybe you want to take a quick peek at. This is the perfect time to do so, and it's great for them to just sit down and breathe, talk amongst each other, and then that way it's a quick little reset for all of us, and then we can go back in and finish the rest of the shoot with more energy and be ready to go. Now the 7th point is when I take my single photos. These are the photos where I take of each partner individually. So I know that these can be even more intimidating because they're alone in front of the camera. So I make sure to structure the shoot in a way that I can take those single photos towards the end, because that's when they're going to have gained the most confidence and they're going to be even more comfortable in front of the camera, and I can get better single photos. Now this 8th point is maybe just a little bit more of a rule of mine, but it does work into the system of my photo shoot. And that is, I don't show the back of my camera, ever. And I do this for 2 reasons. First reason is simply I like to keep it a surprise. When I release the sneak peeks a few days later, I like them to be a complete surprise for my couple. And the second reason is I know that on my card I have a whole ton of great photos, but I also have a whole ton of bad photos. Maybe it was me testing the light and the couple was just doing whatever. Or maybe it's one of those photos like I mentioned earlier where it wasn't flattering for them. So I don't want my couple to accidentally fall on one of those bad photos when they're looking at the back of my camera, because I don't want them to start feeling badly about themselves and think that they look like that in every photo. Because like I've said again many times in this video, I've worked so hard to build this self-confidence in them that I would hate to break it all in an instant by them just seeing one bad photo out of the other great ones that I've captured. Now the 9th and last point of how I structure these sessions is actually how I end them. So I make sure to reset expectations. I've already told them in our previous discussions how long it takes me to deliver the photos, but they've probably forgotten, or I just like to make sure that I state that again. So I tell them they can expect their photos within 1.5 to 2 weeks after this day, so after the session. And then I also tell them to expect a sneak peek within the next couple days on Instagram and on Facebook. I tell them this because I really want them to get excited. I want them to check social media often, waiting for me to post those photos, because I want to build a little bit of excitement. That way when they get the photos, they're super excited and they share them with all their friends. And then the last thing I make sure to tell them is how great they did, because my couples, I've mentioned this, they've probably walked into this session feeling nervous. So I want to make sure that they leave on a high, they leave feeling great about themselves, and they leave feeling like they've had an amazing experience. So I tell them they did awesome and that I cannot wait to work with them again, or I cannot wait for their wedding to capture more great photos of them. Alright, that's it. Those were the 9 points, the 9 things that I use to structure and systemize my photo sessions. Now, if you're starting out and you're going out on your first session pretty soon, this might seem like a lot to think about on top of all the poses and photos you have to take. But don't worry, all this will come as you practice more. And honestly, when you're first starting out, just be yourself on sessions. That's what's most important. Just remember that your couple hired you for you. So just be as comfortable as you can, and everything else will just come with practice. Now, my friends, if you want to join my Facebook group called The Creative Peak, there's a link below, so you can go join that group and chat and meet with other great photographers like yourself. If you liked this video, also don't forget to subscribe and like the video, click the bell if you want to be notified when I post more videos. I cannot wait to see you next week, friends. I post every Tuesday, so have a good one.